In front of me is a pretty beat up example of a 1992 Yamaha FZR600. This specific example hasn't been on the road in over 20 years, and it looks like it's just been stored outside for most of that time. So this video, we're going to see how much effort it takes to actually get this guy running. I have no idea why this motorcycle sat for so long, or why this was parked in the first place. So let's do a quick look around the bike and see what we're working with. First thing I notice is that the motorcycle is just ugly. These plastics are all broken and painted over. They do have a Yamaha part number, so I think they are original. We are also missing the mirrors, and this part of the headlight frame seems to be broken. So coming down on the bike, we can see some scuffs on the side of the engine case. We can also see that the rear brake master cylinder is missing. It's supposed to be here, as well as the rear foot peg. Coming around, we can see some more damage on the side of the engine case and some more damage on the frame. Coming up, we see this bike has 15,279 miles, which is a respectable amount of miles for something this old. The good thing so far about this bike is that it seems to be mostly complete. I just have no idea why it was parked in the first place, and we're gonna find out. First, let's go ahead and take a look at how bad this gas tank is. Other good thing about this bike is that it came with 2 keys. Gas tank seems to be pretty disgusting. There is a what looks like what's left of some gas in the bottom, and the walls are also have some mild scale on them, but not the worst that I've seen, and something we can just work with. Alright, next thing I want to do is start taking off some of these plastics and the seat, so that way we have access to the battery and we can start trying to diagnose what's going on with here. My ultimate goal for the first thing I want to do is just turn the engine over by hand, and that way we can see if it's locked up and then reassess from there. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if there's any coolant in here. Yeah, that looks pretty dry. Nice. Let's zap these off. That was satisfying. Time to see if this thing will actually turn over and it's not locked up. That is actually really smooth and a lot better than I expected. Alright, got the battery hooked up because I want to test the compression now, and this will give a good opportunity to test other things on the bike, like if we have any power. Oh, now headlight turned on, and we have a neutral light in the high beam. That's convenient. The high beam switch actually works. Before I crank it over a bunch of times, I'm going to go ahead and change the oil. Drain plug has definitely seen better days. With fresh oil and a new filter, let's go ahead and start cranking it over for the compression test and get a baseline of this engine's health. Not off to a great start. What, 70 psi maybe on that first one. Not great. Should probably be closer to like 150. I guess we'll keep going to see how the rest look like. Alright, cylinder number 2. Let's see how it looks like. Alright, doesn't look that great. We got even lower than the other one, so we didn't even hit 60 psi. Off to the next one. That is even worse than before. One thing to keep in mind is that I'm actually keeping open the throttle, because that's how you get the most accurate answer. Yeah, we'll start getting not great numbers. And cylinder number 4. That is our best one yet. Almost 90 psi, and I never thought I would actually be happy about 90 psi on a cylinder, but that's better than all the other ones. Cylinders have pretty low compression. I'm going to go ahead and spray the inside of the cylinders with PB Blaster. This should free up the rings or so, or at least do something. Got PB Blaster in the cylinders, so while it's working its magic, I'm going to just go ahead and start addressing these carburetors, because I think we know these are going to be a problem. Got the carburetors on the bench here. Let's take a closer look at what we got. First things I notice is that they're dirty. Second thing I notice is that these plugs here are actually still there. So that means that we haven't been tampered with, unless of course someone replaced the plugs. And then the other thing to notice is that some of these screws are pretty beat up. So definitely going to be using the JIS screwdrivers for this to try and keep my work to a minimum. A viewer from the GS750 video left a comment saying that I should pick up some JIS screwdrivers, so that's what I did. I read all the comments on the videos, so if you have any other helpful tips or tricks, be sure to leave a comment down below. And as expected, the carbs are pretty crusty, so good thing we're addressing it. Next step is just to take all the jets out and then start spraying. Is going together nicely. What the hell? And shiny new piece in. Let's go ahead and check for spark. Here I'm testing spark plug on the first coil. And here's coil number 2. And seems a little intermittent, but we got spark. So maybe some new spark plugs will help us out. Fresh spark plug going in. Alright, got the carbs here, ready to go in. They got new O-rings, gaskets, and they're all cleaned up. So hopefully these work and these boots don't give me too much of a hard time. It is like 20 degrees outside, so I'm going to heat these up with a heat gun to make them a bit more pliable so I don't kill myself putting these in. Right, low setting, doesn't have to be too crazy. Alright, carburetors are in and the cables are in. And pro tip, the choke cable all the way down there needs to go in first. So had to take these out a little bit, put the choke cable in, and then wrap everything up. Alright, I went ahead and rinsed out the gas tank with some gas, some old gas, to get most of the rust flakes out, and it seems to have worked. So just gonna slap this bad boy back in, hook up the new fuel line, and then we'll be almost ready to start this up. Alright, moment of truth. I got the fuel system in. I should have the airbox in, but in case I have to take anything off, I just have it off. I know the carburetors aren't gonna like it, but it is what it is. So choke on and put the on switch on. Fuel pump is working, so let's give it a go.
A few minutes later.
Wants to go. Maybe give it some little spray. So if I was a real mechanic, I would probably take the time to figure out where I went wrong or what I'm doing wrong or what's wrong with the engine. But I'm just going to keep trying. Getting a lot of smoke in the garage, probably from the PB blaster that's burning off in the cylinders. That was actually pretty successful. A lot of smoke filling up the garage, but I don't know. I think that's almost a job well done. Alright, I'm gonna fill it up with coolant so we can run it for longer. Probably gonna get flamed in the comments for this, but I'm gonna be running my coolant that I have for my Toyota, so it's the pink stuff. Not that big of a deal for a clapped out motorcycle. I can always just drain it later on. The needle's actually moving up. And we got a bit of a vacuum leak because the idle's hanging super high, and then if we try and drop it down, it'll stall out. Well, that about wraps up the video on this Yamaha. We got this thing running, and I think it runs halfway decent for what we started out with. Let me know in the comments down below what I should do with it. If I should actually try and restore it, or just kind of pass it off to someone else. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button as well.